Sorcha actually was a DMI member who actually went over to the community and told the community about their experience post-webinar, post her DMI Pro certification, because she'd seen a few other people doing it and wanted to tell her story, which is why we found Sorcha, and we're hoping that she would share her experience to those that might be considering DMI Pro. So I suppose let's kick off, Sorcha, by just saying, asking you, how did you find DMI, and why did you choose DMI and the DMI Pro course specifically to undertake?
So I kind of came to digital marketing very much not from a traditional marketing or any sort of marketing background at all. By day, like, I'm a singer and performing artist, and I do a little bit of teaching on the side. But of course, 2020 hit and a global pandemic hit, and it left me completely unemployed. So I kind of felt, you know, I always had a niggling interest in the world of marketing from like way back when I was working in retail. So I went searching for maybe a course that I could do over lockdown. Initially, my searches for courses were pretty slim. I was kind of looking for free or cheap or easy, but I eventually came across DMI. I think it might have been my mom actually that passed it on to me, and I also had a housemate who was a marketer, so she was able to kind of look at it with me as well. So what I did first was I downloaded the brochure to kind of have a look at it, and I immediately got a phone call back to say, you know, that DMI had seen that I was interested or downloaded the brochure, and I really kind of took the opportunity then to go, okay, a human being, this is good. Like, I want to talk to somebody about what I'm looking for. Obviously, I was unsure and nervous because I didn't have a traditional marketing background at all. I kind of thought maybe I should just ask somebody, like, is this wise to do, or am I completely out of my depth? So it was a really lovely way to just ask the questions that I needed to ask. And honestly, by the end, then I was sold on it. The offer that's running at the moment, that was available for me at the time as well. And of course, being out of work, that made a huge difference, and I was able to kind of pay it in the installments, and that's kind of sold it for me in the end.
Great, Sorcha. And I suppose, could you now, we've had James kind of walk us through the platform and Alex as well, but I suppose, could you tell us a little bit about your learning journey? So how did you find the program and the exam as well?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed like the structure of it. You know, it had been a very long time since I had really had to sit down and learn and study anything. I suppose having gone straight out of school into a music performing college and a performing arts diploma after that, all of my learning up to now had been very practical based. So it did kind of take me, you know, I really needed structure in order to be able to kind of work through something. So I really liked kind of seeing all of the topics, you know, get ticked off as I went along, and being able then at the end of each topic to like take the quiz and move on then. And then obviously on the kind of home section, being able to see my overall progress through the course, kind of chipping away was really, it kept me kind of going, and it kept me motivated to kind of just keep trucking through it. I took notes, physical written notes as I went along. I felt that's what helped me kind of take the information and regurgitate it myself on paper to really fully understand it. I know I've read in that community forum, a lot of people said they started that and kind of ditched it because it was time consuming. But I think if it's what helps you, stick to it. I knew that it was taking me the time, but I had to keep going with it because I'd started, and I was like, if I drop it now, it might skew kind of how I'm processing the information. So I think once you're prepared for it, to maybe take a bit of extra time in writing notes, but still I would go with it. When I got to the end, I used the given study notes that are in the resources of each module, and I just found them a really, really helpful kind of condensed version of the lectures and the slides. And it was kind of like looking at the information again with a fresh set of eyes, and really making sure that it was fully understandable and really landing. And then I took the quizzes again as I went along. Then I suppose what I did kind of just in the final sprint of study, I was taking the quiz questions, but then reverting back to the study notes for that question or that kind of topic on that question, just to make sure that I could cover myself with possible different answers that might come up if that similar question or a question like it came up in the exam, that, you know, of the 10 right answers, I wasn't only remembering the 1 or 2 that were in the quiz, say. So and then like that, I was in the community forum reading kind of other people's experiences, and that kind of settled my nerves in the lead up to the exam, because it was like, okay, well, this is how this person approached it, this is what they got, I feel like I'm on track. The exam itself was actually so much more relaxing than I thought it would be. Obviously, going in on the day, I was a bit nervous because you just feel like it's a huge, you know, 10 modules is 10 modules, and I kind of thought, right, but going through it, it's really well split up into the 3 hours, and that after, you know, that first section, you feel confident to just take it, move on. You're able to flag questions as you go, which I found really, really helpful. It meant that I could move on to questions that I maybe definitely knew the answer to, rather than sitting on questions that I wasn't sure of and kind of losing time. So as I went along, I was flagging away and then just went back through them all. So really, it wasn't as kind of, it didn't bombard me on the day with all of this. It's really well structured into the 3 sections, and then you submit that final section, and then that's it, you're out before the end of the 3 hours. So yeah, it was really well structured, and that was a huge thing for me.
Great. And I suppose one of the areas that you took benefit from clearly is the community forum, but I suppose one of the things people will have noticed here today is the vast range of geographic locations that are appearing on the comment box there, with everybody from the US, Canada, Afghanistan, Minneapolis, Mauritius, Ireland, the UK. So it's and obviously it's quite a substantial number, 118,000 people. So that's great, you know, to be connected to that many digital marketers. But I suppose the community forum being a class network of just your cohort as well is where you find the value during the program and your learning journey.
Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't even realize that it was so international when I first joined. I suppose that initial phone call that I had with someone from DMI was another Irish lady. So I didn't quite realize going in that it was going to be so international. But when I first joined, obviously the classroom community everybody was kind of starting around the same time. And the first kind of couple of postings in that were kind of hello, and like what we were doing and where we were from and why we were taking the course. And it was just a really lovely way to kind of put names to people and kind of find out how different everyone's approach to this was and how interesting it was. As the course went on, then, you know, people would jump in, and if they had kind of a question about a section of the course that they were on and kind of wanted a fellow students, I suppose, help with it, or kind of what did you do, or how are you finding this, that was really, really helpful as well. But there was always like a DMI tutor in there as well, kind of answering the questions that maybe we weren't able to help each other out with. But you still got that real sense of classroom community. And then obviously coming towards the end, as we were all taking our exams, that's what really kind of got me to the end. That kind of, you know, I did the exam, I passed with this, and this is how I did it. It was never really, you know, tips or tricks. There was no trick kind of to passing, but just in how they structured maybe their learning and structured the study time, was what really kind of helped me in kind of going, okay, so maybe if I do this, or I've done that as well. And that's why I suppose in the end I put mine in like the evening on the day that I did my exam, because it had helped me so much that I was like, I hope maybe my experience will help the next person or somebody in here that might be a little bit nervous coming up to exam day, that it really is not the end of the world. It's really, really doable.
Yeah, and I think what struck me particularly about your story, Erica, is the fact that, you know, you have a career as a singer and a musical theatre, but I find, you know, even digital is coming into that industry and that world, and that it's benefiting you. But we've sent a link out earlier to the forum to access a free membership account. I really recommend people go over and check out the community forum. There are posts up there like, I'm 48, I'm doing a career change, advice. So, you know, it's there's such a dynamic network of people from various different backgrounds, industries,
Yeah.
sectors, and career stages as well. So you're never alone with that, and there's so many people that you can connect with and reach out that can give a similar background or experience to yourself. But one thing I want to touch on with you is you're certified now, and you spoke a little bit about exiting the exam hall with it completed. So how do you feel now you're certified as a DMI Pro member?
Yeah, well, on the day, obviously, I was massively relieved. I really didn't want to have to sit it again. It wasn't that the exam itself was stressful, but it was just like I really wanted to get it first time. I knew I had the 3 times, and I had left myself enough time at the end to sit them, you know, again if I did have to. But overall, like I feel incredibly proud of myself. You know, I left school and went straight into like performing arts and singing and music. And it's kind of the first time that I've kind of sat back to something academic after school, but not necessarily to do a U-turn on my career or like change my career at all. It was really something that I wanted to be able to add to what I was already doing. I think my poor parents were terrified that I was, you know, COVID hit and I just wanted to change career because the arts is so unsettling right now. But it wasn't that at all. It's, you know, there's so much community in the arts online now, between your website and your social channels, that I kind of thought this would be a brilliant way to kind of just enhance what I already do by having this knowledge. So, you know, this time last year, I suppose I had loads of international tours lined up and a couple of shows lined up for this year that all were just shattered. But so like that, this time last year, I never would have thought that I'd be certified in digital marketing, like by any stretch of imagination. So I suppose you just never know what life is going to throw at you. So overall, I'm very proud that I've done it and delighted that I did do it.
No, and absolutely you should be. And I suppose there's obviously everybody here today is on to explore and find out a little bit about DMI Pro and what it looks like, how it feels, and what they would get at the end of it. So I suppose, would you recommend, having done it yourself and gone through the program, the DMI Pro?
Yeah, I definitely would recommend it. Especially, you know, that's coming from someone who did not have a marketing background. I know obviously if you do and you're using it to enhance that, super again. But if you're somebody who's just looking to add another string to your bow, whatever that might be, then I 100% would recommend it. As I said before, like it was so structured from the very, very get-go. It really does take you like by the hand from the ground up, like all the way through. Like the glossary term, like there's so many resources in there that you truly are never ever lost. Like I I may not ever actually have needed any help in the community forums, because everything was just so crystal clear to me as I went through it. You know, if I found it in any way kind of confusing or difficult, it you know, I get overwhelmed very easily, so I think I may not have even kept going with it. But so yeah, 100% I would recommend it because it's very, very structured and very, very well laid out.
Perfect, thanks, Sorcha. So I'm going to show my screen to people just momentarily, so hopefully everybody can see it there now. But there's a couple of questions come in that I just wanted to spend a bit of time on. Whenever you certify with the DMI, your CPD area is locked up until that point, and now Sorcha and everybody else who is certified in the DMI Pro will see this open up and see that you will have become a certified digital marketing professional. That is 4 little letters that you can put after your name, and what that really says to everybody without showing your certificate is that you have certified, you've got the skills, you have the knowledge, the acumen at that industry benchmark to in the field of digital marketing, and that not only are you certified to that level, but that you're continuing to do small, bite-sized, just-in-time learning activities that support and keep that knowledge up to date. The other thing that I wanted to just touch on as well, because somebody asked about jobs coming out of the DMI Pro, is in your library section. Really, we have tried to cater for everything, but in particular, there is actually an area under topics called careers. It covers everything, including the member showcases and essential skills. But we do have here in it a breakdown of different careers. So for example, we have what exactly does a PP specialist do? And there's other items in there that are linked to our Global Industry Advisory Council. So we do white papers every single year. One of the ones that we produced last year, which was a look at the digital skills gap. So that sort of information is in there as well. But we've got everything from like your toolkit for cover letters, looking at digital skills that you need to survive for the future proofing yourself. So there's lots of information up there that will support you from a career aspect as well.